What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Christian J Show. So, today's movie review is going to be over Fantastic Four, the 2005 version. That's the first one, and plus the second one, Fantastic Four, The Rise of the Silver Surfer. Now, I know I'm going to be butchering these names up, so please bear with me. But anyway, the 2005 version of Fantastic Four, to me, it was amazing. I loved it. That's one of the movies I always rewatch because I love that movie. That is my favorite movie. And it's sad to see a lot of people talk bad about the movie. Like, I mean, I get we all supposed to have different opinions, but dang, y'all didn't like the movie that bad? Y'all don't like the movie that? And when I originally watched it and everything, I was like, okay, what's going on? I was like, okay, what's going on? But it was a fun, enjoyable superhero movie, despite the flaws. Because at one point I was like, okay, I was kind of confused on what was actually going on in the movie. That I was actually kind of like confused about that part, like what was actually going on. But watched it, was good. Now, I never understood why it was so hated. I will understand if the Silver Surfer was hated on a little bit. I can understand that, and I can understand if the 2015 reboot was hated because that was just like no. If you ask me about my favorite Fantastic Four movie, it's always gonna be Fantastic Four 2005 version, then Fantastic Four Silver Surfer, Rise of the Silver Surfer, then this one that just came out, then that version, the 2015 version. Like, if I had to choose between the 2015 version and Wonder Woman 1984, I mean, they can both burn in hell, but I would actually choose Wonder Woman 1984. Like, that, I would actually choose that, even though that movie was just garbage as well. And it has nothing to do with Gal Gadot, even though I don't like her. She can't act anyway. And enough champagne to feel denial. Kal-El, no. Girl, please. Now, I don't know what happened because she wasn't good. She was good in the first Wonder Woman, but some people don't know how to stay together with their stuff. Now, the adaptation is alright. The origin story is almost the same as the comics, and the characterization of the characters is kind of the same. The only thing that I've seen that they criticize is that Doctor Doom isn't like the comics. But Doctor Doom had a similar origin when it came to his powers as Ultimate Marvel. And speaking of Doctor Doom, we recently lost the actor who played Doctor Doom, Julian. You know what? I'm going to mess up his name. I'm going to mess up his last name. So you know what? I'm not even going to pronounce his last name because I know I'm going to mess it up. And I don't need y'all saying, oh, you being disrespectful. So, we lost the actor who played Doctor Doom, Julian. And I know, and I know he was loved because the amount of love that was shown to him when it was announced that he had passed away was heartwarming. I like you could not escape the amount of love that everyone was giving him because he was an amazing actor. Like when I tell you he can act, he can act. He was on one of my favorite shows, FBI Most Wanted. He was on FBI Most Wanted and he was on Charmed and FBI. Three of my favorite shows. So it's a huge loss. And FBI Most Wanted. Now, getting back to the review. Now, I don't understand how y'all was saying anything about y'all were talking about Doctor Doom and his origin isn't like the comics, but where Bucky and Rohan and Thanos don't have the same treatment, despite being different from the comics when it it's when it comes to powers as well. Now, the Doctor Doom aesthetics are more closer in the comics, more close to the comics than the MCU or post Thanos, basically. You know, I actually like this Doctor Doom. Like this, like this Doctor Doom was all right. But I tell you, I was like, okay, well, who gonna win? Sometimes I'll actually root for Doctor Doom in this Fantastic Four. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of rooting for him. I was like, oh, you working my nerve. Don't Reed and Sue, y'all both working my nerve. You're talking about this will they, won't they? You know what? How about y'all? Victor, get him. Now, a lot of people said that this movie didn't feel like a superhero movie. They never saw the main cast rescue anyone. And it didn't feel like a superhero movie. They felt like the Rise of the Silver Surfer will feel like more of a superhero movie. I guess they were trying to basically rescue more people. They was rescuing more people. Honestly, I don't understand that because they rescued the people on the bridge, because I remember that. That's one of my favorite scenes. Reed rescued that firefighter that was about to fall. Johnny rescued the child that was about to get burned up. And Sue contained the fire that was about to hit everything. Then what it was. Then Ben was holding on to the fire truck so that it didn't fall off. So they saved people. They were saving people. I guess that they wasn't saving enough, or they wasn't saving people like how normal superhero movies would. But I feel like this was like an origin story. I feel like they had enough to go on to make a trilogy or something, basically, like more adaptations of the Fantastic Four. Like, I could have actually saw them do like a 4-movie deal. first Fantastic Four kind of felt like an origin story, and them coming into their powers a lot more, and they're not learning about their powers. Basically, they really wasn't getting into their powers a lot more until like the second movie. The second movie, I feel like they kind of like found their footing, and the second movie it was good with drama and everything, action, all that. But I wish they would have did a little bit more with Sue. Because if you know anything about the Invisible Woman, she has a bunch of powers. And the Invisible Woman has a bunch of powers. And honestly, I feel like they just had Jessica Alba there to be like, oh, the pretty girl. Basically, to me, that's how I felt. I mean, not saying that Jessica Alba is not a pretty woman, she's not a beautiful woman, but I feel like they just had her in the movie as Sue, and Sue was like, oh, the pretty woman, I'm here, I'm glamorous. They did not use Sue to her ability, because we know her primary powers is invisibility and light manipulation. She could render herself invisible, make objects invisible by mentally bending all wavelengths around them. Then her force field generation and manipulation, she could generate powerful and invisible sonic force fields drawing from a higher dimension associated with cosmic beings. Then defense, creating nearly impenetrable shields to protect herself and others from physical and energy attacks, strong enough to withstand immense blasts and explosions, including small nuclear blasts at ground zero and attacks from Galactus, offense shaping them into constructs and projectiles and battering rams, generating them inside objects to cause internal damage, or explosions cutting through steel and creating barriers to contain opponents. So, like, yeah, when she told Victor that in the second movie, I remember she told him, said that if you do something, she could create a force field inside you and just blow you up. I was like, why haven't we seen that? Like, yeah, go ahead, blow somebody up, sister. Blow them up, girl, child. Don't care about the consequences. Blow them up. Moving and control, levitation and flight, moving objects or individuals, telekinesis, and influencing matter through air. Stealth and sensing, generating low-level force pulses to detect and sense nearby objects and people. Telepathic defense. She can share her mind from some types of telepathic intrusion using her force fields. I really wish they would do like a 4-movie deal. That way we can see Sue. Because like this, okay. The first movie was basically like them getting to their powers a lot. Focusing on Victor, the origins basically. Second movie was kind of focusing like on Johnny. Like Johnny was kind of like the main point in the movie, because between him and the surfer. The third movie, actually do a 5-movie deal. The third movie could have focused on Ben and his powers, because despite him just being a rock, he has powers. It's not like Johnny's or Reed's or Sue's, but he had superhuman strength, superhuman durability, rock-like skin, superhuman human stamina, immortality, and longevity. Yeah, and he does not age. He's an expert pilot, skilled hand-to-hand combat, which we really did not see. To be honest, I wish we really kind of like saw his hand-to-hand combat. Enhanced physiology. I mean, it's not. He doesn't. The powers he has is not like Reed's or anybody else's, but he has powers. Okay, like I said, the third one could have been on Ben. His powers, like a focus point on Ben. The fourth one could have been on Sue and all her powers, and we see her powers. Oh, did I forget one? Yeah, telepathic defense. Yeah, she had shield of mind. Then physical prowess. She is capable unarmed combat with training in judo and further coaching from others, enabling her to blend her superpowers with her fighting skills. Plus, she's an excellent swimmer. So, Miss Girl can blend her powers with her fighting skills. I wish we would have saw that, like hand-to-hand combat. Like, I would like to see her in a fight, kind of like hand-to-hand combat, and see how she will use her powers as, you know. Initially, Sue's abilities were more focused on visibility and considered support-based. However, her powers have significantly evolved, particularly her force field manipulation, making her one of the most powerful members of the Fantastic Four and a formidable force in the Marvel Universe. She can now perform impressive feats, including holding back cosmic threats, taking on powerful villains like Doctor Doom, and controlling black holes. You know, with them doing like this multiverse saga and all, I kind of wish that they would get like some of these. We already seen that they brought Chris Evans back as Johnny. I wish that they would do like this multiverse saga kind of that they're planning on doing, or after they do like Doomsday or something, and they got stuff going on. I kind of wish like they'll get some like these old, like the 2000 movies, and make them like bring them back. If you get what I'm saying, because we all know how they're talking about doing the multiverse, and you know the different Earths and everything. So, with this multiverse, come on, bring some of these characters back. And honestly, I would like to see Marvel and DC kind of like team up. Like at the beginning, like yeah, they're going ham at it. Like they're not getting along or anything. We all know the DC does good. We already know how they do it on the multiverse. You watch The Flash. Anybody, they did multiverse, the multiverse theory. I would like to see DC and Marvel like team up, like do like a big old superhero movie. Honestly, I would like to see that as like a trilogy or a how I want to put it. Like a 4-movie deal. Like we saw with Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, and then Avengers Endgame. I would like to see that with Marvel and DC, like both of them come together, and then as a way to like the multiverse, like some of Marvel's villains head over to DC, and then some of DC villains head over to Marvel, and kind of like DC has a way to like defeat Marvel's villains, and then Marvel has a way to defeat DC's villains, and both of them come together and they work together to defeat these villains. And I would say bring back some of these other actors, like some from the CW shows. Bring back Grant Gustin. Bring back Melissa Benoist. Bring them back. Bring them back. Bring them back. Cause I need them. I need them. And bring back and of course they have the people that work with them. Everything. Go ahead and bring back Iris, Candace Patton. Go and bring her back. Caitlin Snow, Cisco Ramon. Go ahead and bring her back. Bring her back. Bring her back. Y'all if y'all give it, I'm putting down. But yeah, the fourth movie would have been focused on Sue's powers. Then the fifth and final movie would have been focused on Reed's powers. Like Reed would have been like the focal point. And then plus, we would have been introduced to Sue and her kids, Franklin and Valerie. Yes. Mm-hmm. They have two. Yeah. Now, a lot of older movies, a lot of people kind of hate. I guess it's because it's not like the MCU. It's more of like a Fox movie, like I don't forget what is it 24th century, 21st, 24th. It's a 20th something century. Yeah, it's 20th century Fox. Child, is it? Hold on, let me check. Cause see, I ain't got time to Yeah, it was 20th century Fox. I was right. a lot of the old movies kind of like 20th century Fox and like Sony, and then like some of them like Columbia Pictures. A lot of people hate on those old movies because it's not the MCU. I feel like everybody has been so spoiled by the MCU that they have actually forgotten all the good movies that they gave us before MCU came to work. I like how in the first movie you could just like tell like they were having fun in the first movie. Like it was like enjoyment for them. Cause Chris Evans was the highlight of the films. He was. I'm not gonna lie. He was the highlight of the films. And to me, I felt like Johnny was like taking up a lot more in the second movie. In Rise of the Silver Surfer, I felt like he was like taking kind of like more of like a almost kind of like a leadership role, kind of like he was stepping up a lot more. Like he's going to keep everything together, kind of. If you get what I'm saying. Now, I would say one of the reasons why people hated the 2005 version of the Fantastic Four was because of comic inaccuracies. But y'all loved the MCU's adaptations. Half of the time they're inaccurate. When Fantastic Four came out, comic movies weren't as popular, so the majority of fans who saw the movies were people who actually read the comics, as compared to now, where people think the MCU is the standard for superhero stuff and don't care about comics, unfortunately. And I said this in my episode about Captain America Brave New World. A lot of y'all ask for comic accurate movies, then you get comic accurate movies, and then next thing you know, you're talking about, oh, this wasn't here, this wasn't there. Or you get a movie, and then when comic book fans, like I said, those are the fans you don't want to argue with. Comic book fans, Harry Potter fans, the Beehive, and the Swifties, you don't want to argue with them, because we're always going to tell you what we need to tell you. And we're always going to do it as a way of saying, you're a little dumb. But anyway, like I said, when you have a movie and a comic book fan, an avid comic book reader now, tells you that the movie does not line up with the comics, and you proceed to tell them that it does, just be prepared to get read by a comic book fan, or as y'all would say, a comic book nerd. Okay, go ahead and get schooled by the comic book nerd, because they're going to tell you what they need to tell you. Because 9 times out of 10, you read the comic, you see the movie, you read the comic again, and you see the movie again. 9 times out of 10, that movie is always going to add up to that comic. If you get what I'm saying. If you want to say it's not that the movie is not like the comic book, or the comic book is not like the movie, or however you want to put it, just know that the comic book fans will rip you to pieces. Now, as for Rise of the Silver Surfer, there were things in that movie that could have been a little bit better, but I do feel like that movie kind of was almost like a stepping stone as to another movie which did not happen, because I remember at the end of the movie, the Silver Surfer had woke up. Like, we saw him go into Galactus, because at that time they did not have the big Galactus that they have in this new Fantastic Four that is out now. It was like almost like a cloud, basically. If you get kind of like a cloud that's eating all the planets, kind of like a black hole, but with like clouds and all destruction coming. In that, since they did not have that big Galactus, but that thing was called Galactus, and we all saw basically like the Silver Surfer sacrifice himself to save everyone. And I feel like they were gearing up for a third movie, because at the end of the Silver Surfer, kind of like coming out to, after they had after Reed and Sue had got married, and she had tossed the bouquet, and the girl John was dating was about to get the bouquet, and he said that thing of fire. After that, and they had ended with, the Fantastic Four, dun, 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 all that. And then they had ended with that. They cut to the Silver Surfer. He was still in space. The board was still in space, floating. Next thing you know, his eyes opened, and then the board was flying to him. So I feel like they was kind of like setting up for a third movie, but that did not happen. I wish it did. I want to see more. I want to see more out of this cast. But a lot of people said the casting was horrible. To me, it wasn't. I think I'm going to say his name right. Eon Grufford, Eon, because I'm not, like I said, I butcher people's names. And like I said, I was not going to butcher Julian's last name because I don't need y'all saying that I was being disrespectful. Okay? He was the perfect Reed Richards. Eon was the perfect Reed Richards. Like, sorry to Pedro Pascal, but I did not see Reed from Pedro. I don't know if because I see too much of Pedro. Probably I see too much of Pedro, and I'm tired. Every time I see Pedro, I'm looking like, oh, that's Pedro playing who? Okay. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just tired of seeing Pedro. I know y'all might be Pedro fans out there, and y'all might want to get on my case, but this ain't the one. I'm just saying how I feel. Sue was good. Jessica Alba was good as Sue. Could they have written her character a little bit more depth? With a little bit more depth and have basically not kind of like stereotype her as the pretty blonde girl? Yeah, they could have. They could have did that, but they didn't. Chris Evans was great as Johnny because Chris Evans captured like the young immaturity that Johnny had. He captured that. And then Ben was great. But my heart broke for Ben. My heart broke for Ben in the first movie when he came back and he was looking for his wife and his wife was there. And then she came out and she saw him and she freaked out. Now I would have understood. Now I understand she was freaked out. Yeah, I understand that. But then call him, find out where he at. Y'all meet up at a restaurant. Y'all talk about everything. Allow him to come home so y'all can talk. But then she comes to the bridge and then she proceeds to put the ring on the ground. Now, sister girl, you see his fingers. Tell me how he go pick up that ring. First of all, what kind of ring was that? Tell me how he go pick up that ring and he got them big old rock fingers and he just and he could not pick it up. I was like, girl, you about to make me get you. Like, I was heartbroken for Ben. I was like, this man must be love this woman good. Like, seriously. Like, wow. But that's all the time I have for y'all today. So tune in next time for another episode of The Christian J Show.